Hello and welcome back everyone. A really nice little kit. This is the 172nd Royal Aircraft Factory BE2c, as you can see there. In this case I'm doing a VC scheme. This is from William Leefe Robinson's plane, as you can see there, number 39 Squadron, Royal Flying Corps, Sutton's Farm. What he did is on the night of the 2nd of September 1916, he shot down one of those airships. I'm probably going to say it wrong, but it was Schütte-Lanz. My German's not that good. Standard Airfix kit in that sense. I think one of the really cool things about some of these kits, they're not expensive, but it almost shows you what you can do when you do take your time. You don't even need a bunch of fancy tools and all of that. You can really do some nice work without spending a lot of money. Over the years, of course, I've accumulated gear, but I don't think that you should get too hung up on that, if that makes sense. One thing that I will just quickly mention, the flying hours, if you're not using them, you can send them in and they go to that veteran scheme so they can get some planes and everything. Look it up, do that. It's pretty cool, especially in this case where, like I said, this is a scheme of a real VC hero, and I don't even use that word lightly. What I was doing there is just showing you, this is the old plastic and it's quite brittle, so do be careful with it. What I did have there was some of the newer plastic which Airfix uses, which I prefer. It is harder, it's more like the Tamiya, probably closer to the Edward type plastic, just one of those little things, I suppose, or heads up that it is this older, softer plastic. And I didn't have any particular problems in this case, but in the past I have had some problems with parts. It's just very brittle. It can get knocked in the box and so on. I'm also not afraid of hand brushing when it's useful to me, or I could end up spending longer cleaning the airbrush. The mix flat white buff, that gives that sort of really, actually quite a really nice, it's like a cotton color. What I'm doing here was really just testing out my mix on the inside before I jump in with the airbrush. Live and learn, as they say. That's just, I've done it too many times. Jump in with the airbrush and then suddenly like, oh no, I'm going to have to fix this up. So yeah, that's just one of those things you trial by error over the years. So yeah, again, the molding, the detail, I can't say anything bad about it at all. Instruments going on here. This is not a manufacturer issue. This is just the reality of what these people were flying. It's easy to sort of go, oh yeah, I'd do that. There's a lot of bravado these days, but it's really quite amazing that these are just timber and wood and some cord and varnish and all of that, and these guys were flying them in battle. I think one of the nice things, and at least for me, about doing the modelling, it's really made me a lot more respectful for what people do. Even now, it's easy to sit in the armchair, but yeah, it's a different story even on a real ship or real plane or anything like that. Most of us get a bit nervous when you hit a bit of turbulence coming into an international airport. There's plenty of people right now that are out there doing it for real. So I think, at least for me, sometimes, especially doing an old plane like this, really hits home just what some of these people did do, how ballsy they were, really. There's no other way around it. There's no problems with the kit, but I did just do a little bit of what would I say, cleaning up the fuselage to add a little bit of extra detail. The jigs that come with this are really good, and we'll see them in a second. I'm just using this red brown. I still use a lot of lacquer paints. Gives that, I think it gave quite a nice contrasting wood effect, and that sounds a bit arty, but yeah, I do think about it sometimes that it just gives you that little bit of extra emphasis. If I had gone with, say, a pine coloured wood, which maybe even might be a bit more accurate, then yeah, you might not get as much contrast. So you can see this alignment jig, and it really is useful. It does help. I would say on getting these struts right, I think it's just purely a question of being patient. You don't, where I've got into trouble in the past, and this is definitely, idiot comes to mind for myself here, where if you try and do all of this at once, you're gonna get the biplane structure collapse. In this case, the jigs are good because you can get the alignment in place and then let it set. Yeah, maybe you don't, that doesn't mean you have to leave it overnight or anything, but you can see here that you can move on. Those struts are in place. In this case, I'm moving on to the fuselage and basically getting all that in place. Very, what would I say, very nice fit on the whole. Just beware, in the instructions there is an extra tail piece, and it did throw me out for a while. Shows my wobbly hands. Olive drab, again, I just use what works. It is an olive drab in the instructions and prototype, but there's a million different olive drabs out there, so I just use what I got. I'm masking this pretty heavily. It's interesting that I can't remember what this kit costs, what, $15 or something Australian, maybe 20 or something, I can't remember. Actually, now you got me thinking, I think it come in the aircraft mystery box. Either way, I know it's not an expensive kit, but again, this is, like I say, if you take your time, you can have a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing this. Is it the most detailed kit ever? No, but a 1/72 biplane is not going to be something you're going to really notice a lot of detail, not unless you've got microscope and magnifying glasses and things happening. So that's the main fuselage done, and I'm just cleaning up the exhaust stack here on the engine block. It is well-designed kit. Again, happy to just hand brush. In this case, I just didn't see 3-4 drops of paint. Hardly seemed worth it to me on doing that engine block. Just make sure you've got all the bits in there. There is a firewall that I did screw up and had to come back and do in there. Not a big deal, but some of these things can just be a pain at times, and where you kick yourself. I think as you do more planes and things, or any models, I guess, you get better at fixing your screw-ups. I'm really good at undoing things now. One of the things I have learned is to re-wet joints with glue, and then they can come apart. So this is back to the actual wing structure itself, that biplane structure. I've essentially let this set. What I'm going to do now, and this was me trying to be smarter, and it actually did work for once. Normally when I try and be smarter, it ends up in, definitely not smarter zone. But I've prepared a bunch of strips of cotton thread, and I'm just super gluing them in. They're all about 1 inch long, 1.5 inches, something like that. One thing I would say is I do have the latex, thread stuff there. I use it a bit, but it's a pain in the ass, to be honest. And the other issue is it's probably more scale accurate than this, but I get frustrated when I can't see it. Whereas by using what I'd say oversized or overgauge thread, and this is just cotton thread that I've painted black, it gives a more visible effect. So I'm not in the sense of, I'm not trying to even justify it. That's just the way I do it. I realize that it definitely is oversized, but I think it's, to me, spending hours and hours putting in whatever 1,000th of an inch or 100th of a millimeter threads that I can't see, that's pointless. It does nothing for me. I want to see it look like a biplane on the shelf. So that's almost just a philosophy in that, what do they call it, that scale factor type thing. So I'm just using super glue dabbed on and then fiddling around. In truth, it is fiddly, but it wasn't unpleasant work, if that makes sense. So I was kind of just in the zone there. I think over a couple of evenings, doing it that way. I'm using a very sharp razor. I think it would be pretty tough doing it with anything else, because even with the razor, there were times where if you're not too careful, you can end up pulling off what you've glued, if that makes sense. Another thing, like I say, definitely hit me up in the like, comment, all of that. Proves to YouTube I'm not dead and I still do exist and people do watch things. So you can see there, at this point, this is where I'm going, wow, this is cool. It's actually looking like a real biplane. One other thing I did forget to mention, but definitely really important, is if you are patient with the struts, just even do it one at a time and so on. Work across the wing, get one set glued down and so on, move across the wing. It'll be easy. You won't have too many dramas. Where I've always got into problems is where I've tried to do it all too much in one go. What I was doing just before is I was just coming back and touching up that upper surface with some of that cream mix. Here's the undercarriage. Again, like I say, it is quite amazing. You could build this stuff in a decent garden shed or backyard workshop. It is really amazing what these people did do. These guys just got in these planes, essentially backyard projects. I think this is 15 years after the Wright brothers. Yeah, if that. So they're really using just that skeg there. At this point, I'm just doing a bit of touch up. Pretty happy with it. Like I say, you can't say anything bad about this as a cheap kit. Is it something I'd recommend for a kid? No, because biplanes are a nightmare. I'd hate to think how many disappointments I had as a kid. But yeah, nice decals, nice plane, a very worthy subject, a real deal hero. Again, it sort of hits home to me, getting in something like this, nighttime, flying over southeast England, shooting down airships and stuff. Wow, that's like, smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast, if some of you know what I mean there. But yeah, really, really quite amazing stuff. And like I say, that people still do. So I think keep that in mind when you're doing your modelling. Roundels going on. This is one of those ones that I have to admit, I don't know too much about it, but if you do know, hit me up in the comments. My question is, this is definitely a lighter blue that they were using on the roundels, and yeah, I suppose I should research it myself, but if you do know about it, let me know what happened. I know that the RAF come out of Royal Engineers, I think 1919 and so on, but yeah, just it was a bit of a surprise that lighter blue that they were using then rather than the darker blue. And there we are. It's been one of my favourite builds in a while, probably the last 6 months. Definitely one of my more, favourite or happier builds. You can see the control lines there. This was just, levers and strings and bits of cord and rope holding this together. Really quite amazing stuff. I do hope you've enjoyed that. In the next one, I've got an Edward Zero coming up, A6M. So that'll be very cool. I hope to see you then. Definitely let me know what you think. Enjoy your modelling, enjoy your viewing, all of that. See you next time. Thanks again.